We're following all of that, getting a read from all of this with some key folks, the Dow Jones Newswires chief editor, Glenn Hall, economist Heidi, and last but not least, Charlie Gasparino. All right, so Glenn, if I can begin with you. You need a deal before you can celebrate a deal, but Wall Street looks to celebrate even hints of one. Well, it is remarkable how this China thing is dominating, trading.
But not that surprising, because the impact can be pretty severe as well. They're trading down when there's the threat that it's not going to happen. So it makes sense that they're going to trade up when there's some opportunity here to see optimism. And the president made it sound like they're getting closer. He made it sound like China has given up a few things, but not enough things. And he expects them to continue until he's happy, right? And that's how he presented that to the market. Right.
Heidi, I'm reminded, though, even deals that he has scored with the Mexicans and the Canadians are not done deals, especially when someone like New Jersey Congressman Bill Pascrell, who will have a key role in this trade subcommittee of House Ways and Means, is saying, this doesn't pass muster with me. I'm simplifying, but what do you make of that and the resistance on any of these deals the president could face in Congress?
I think he's going to face an uphill battle, and I think the jury is still out. He gave a little bit of a hint of what we could see, but I think there still is some risk, if we don't see more progress, of seeing those 25% tariffs come January 1.
Has Peter Navarro been sidelined on all of this? Someone put him in a trunk of a car? Or what?
I get the feeling, listen, I haven't spoken with Peter in a while, but I get the feeling he's on the way out. Just the noise I'm hearing out of Washington is, and he, as you know,
remember when Larry Kudlow was saying ugly things about him?
He's the trade hawk of the administration. He's the guy that put China, the menace of China, on the map. And I think he did a great service with that because, I didn't realize how pernicious China could be on trade and stealing intellectual property until I started interacting with Peter. Now, I don't agree with all Peter's sort of philosophies, and I think that's the problem that he's got. It's clear that the economy on trade war is going to sell off and the markets are going to sell off. It's clear that that is a political problem, particularly going into 2020 for the president if the markets really sell off. How to thread the needle is the best way to put it, between taking a very tough stance with China and not going full board protectionist against everybody else is something that Peter Navarro has a hard time doing. He's a blunt instrument, and I think that's why he's probably going to... Listen, I know the president apparently likes him a lot, and he's a very likable guy. He fights for turf in there like everybody else. But, I can't see him surviving because this trade thing, unless you get it just right, it's going to screw up the economy. And I'm not saying you don't go after China. We get that. Intellectual property, you should focus on intellectual property, but the sort of notion that we should go into a tariff war with China is clearly not good for the markets.
Well, obviously, any hint of promising developments, it changes the market sentiment. I noticed that even with Brexit. And yesterday morning, of course, the markets were panicking. It's going to be a European, bludgeoning here. And then, something's happened with China? And forget it. What did we make of that?
Well, the Brexit challenge was starting to soften a little this morning because it looked like Theresa May wasn't going to lose all of the support within her cabinet. So that was another sort of tempering moment for the markets that, okay, it's not as bad as it could have been. It looked like it was going to be worse. And that's what we've been seeing with the trade talks as well. So a hint that we're getting closer to a deal, which is what the president provides a little bit of stability. But you're also seeing generally, Neil, that there is a tilt towards a slowdown. You're seeing people getting out of tech stocks and moving into more slowdown resistant areas like consumer staples and that. So we're seeing signs that the market is nervous.
That is a scary thing, that even with this trade stuff that's already baked in, if the economy could be slowing down now. Like we had the sugar high from the corporate tax cuts, and I've always worried about it being too weighted to corporate tax cuts because they don't put they do stock buybacks. They don't do the economic sort of fiscal stimulus stuff in large part.
It's a one-time thing. There's not going to be money next year or next quarter for that.
And so if the deficit balloons out because we don't get 3.5% consistent growth, you're going to get higher interest rates, and then plus you get this trade stuff. And that's why I think Peter Navarro...
Well, that could be a 1-2 whammy here. Already, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, has said he thinks the odds are building for a 2020 recession. Heidi, I would think by then maybe we're due for one. Who knows? But what are your thoughts on this?
I think you're starting to see, as you suggested, a natural slowing in the economy, and this new wave of trade protectionism could really accelerate what already seems to be a cresting.
But let's say the president succeeds in all fronts trying to get some of the barriers broken down. Would the effect be immediate, or we'd really have to get under the hood here and see what we got?
But
right?
it would be almost immediate. You're already seeing inventories beginning to stockpile at ports, for example.
Right.
I think people are trying to anticipate the potential impact, and I think everyone loses. Certainly consumers lose.
But if the president wins on this and gets concessions,
he wins.
It's a different world, right?
Well, he wins, but what does he win? I think it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory.
My guess is that Larry Kudlow is making the point you're making right now to the president. He's saying, listen, the economy shows it's growing, but it's showing some signs of slowing. And you look at inventories and all those sort of micro things. But if you engage in a full-fledged trade war with China, that could be it for 2020. And I just know Larry. He's got to be saying that. And we'll watch what happens with Peter Navarro.
I'm told that they were shocked that they didn't get more bang for the buck in the midterms and mitigate the damage in these House losses, which now I think are, what, 36, 38?
It's going to go to 38, maybe.
So that also plays into the trade war issue, because we have to bear in mind that all of these treaties, once negotiated, have to work their way through Congress.
Listen, but I guess what I'm saying is they were surprised. I don't know about this, that the good economy didn't help them more.
I think they focused too little on the robustness of the economy, right? We have a 3.7% unemployment rate. We now have average hourly earnings growth of 3.1%. There's a lot to celebrate.
What does that say for Republicans? Just one second. What does that say about Republicans, though? You know, this economy and its strength is inarguable. The market return, volatile as it is, inarguable, and they didn't get more bang for the buck.
I think they focused too much on other issues, whether it be immigration or.
I think the economy is not good enough to overshadow some of the negatives that came at this.
What do you think? Did the president hurt himself?
Yes, and here's why. And with suburban women. I don't know. Are you a suburban woman? You might be able to speak.
I might qualify.
My wife is.
We'll make you the expert.
Yes, thank you. But just from what I'm hearing is that you can feel free to jump in.
Suburban, angry Italian men.
Yes, the suburban women that I speak to who are naturally right of center, that means they're nominally Republican, are repulsed by a lot of Trump's antics. And even with the economy growing the way it's growing, they may like that, but it wasn't enough to overshadow the other stuff. I don't know.
It's necessary but not sufficient. And I think if they had focused solely on the economic message, well, thank you. If they had focused solely on the economic message, they may have had more success.